Hey there, fans of brotherly love wrestling. It is I, Vic Delicious.
Philly's own, the Mecca here.
It is the real McCoy, J.D.X. Justin D. Xavier. And
it's your man, CD, the fallen angel, Christopher Daniels.
Hello, boys and girls. This is your old friend RJ City.
Hey there, brotherly love wrestling. Bill Carr here.
Hey everyone, this is two-time guest Wheeler Yuta.
Two bozos from Philadelphia flapping their gums about pro wrestling this, pro wrestling that.
Which is not that unique in the grand scheme of things yet.
You are in for a treat because you're tuned in to Brotherly Love Wrestling.
Philadelphia, are you ready?
No! They said, are you ready?
This is Brotherly Love Wrestling Podcast, your first stop for everything professional wrestling. So sit back and enjoy wrestling talk at its finest with your hosts, Larry Hall and Joe Corrado.
Welcome, everybody, to Brotherly Love Wrestling. On the show this week, we have an old face, but
Whoa. An old face?
Old, familiar face.
Okay.
Come, Jesus.
I mean, he's got the mustache.
Yeah.
So we say a distinguished face.
I'll take distinguished face, a little bit better. But he is the alternative Anthony Greene. Anthony, good to see you again. Welcome back to the show.
Good to see you guys too. I mean, we'd be lying if we said we didn't see each other 5 days ago. I mean, virtually, this is the first time in nearly 6 years.
Yes, yeah. So the last time we had you on, like we said, a while ago, before, actually you could say BC, before Corona, because
we're just gonna use abbreviations.
Yeah, we're just gonna use BC because in our generation,
before BC.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Because it seems like a time warp. When COVID happened to now, it's this strange time frame, especially in professional wrestling, and the way things happen and developed and the business in general and the boom that it took. But since then, you popped up all over the place, including showing up in WWE and NXT and getting a run with WWE where you were August Gray, which I don't know how many times we talked to you in that. We were so proud to see you there. We're so happy to see you pop up there and watch your work there. How was it? We'll start there. How was it to get that contract and be with the Performance Center and everything that gets rolled into
the machine
NXT?
Yeah, so one, getting the physical contract, it just doesn't feel real.
Yeah.
Like you can look at it, you can flip through the pages over and over again, and it's just this myth. It's like a mythical being that, as a pro wrestler, or even I guess as a fan, you imagine this thing, and now you have it in front of you, and it's just insanity to think about. I've never shared it publicly, but I filmed myself sign my contract, and that's just for my own keepsake forever. Just because that's a very cool moment in my life.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to being there, the process took forever because of COVID. Mm-hmm. So I physically signed the contract in the summer of 2020. But I did not start at the PC until the first week of October. But once I got there, you are literally training at the Harvard of professional. I mean, so my first coach was Scotty Tuhati. You have Robbie Brookside teaching beginners. Steve Carino's there teaching. Steve Carino's one of my all-time favorite wrestlers. I'm sure as Philadelphians, you guys are also huge fans.
We can appreciate that.
Of course.
That you have Shawn Michaels teaching class. A-Train, Matt Bloom, he has his own class. Terry Taylor has a class. It's a who's who. Sarah Amato, Sarah Del Rey, who I'm sure you guys are also familiar with.
Yes.
From and seen in the Philly area.
Yeah.
So it's a who's who of coaches, and I was only there for just under a year, but I feel like anybody there, if you were there for even a month and you don't learn anything, you did something wrong. It's up to you to learn something. It's not up to the coaches to teach you, because there's just such an array of talent, one to work with, and then also just like the minds that you're learning from. It's endless.
Well,
So,
go ahead, Joe.
what's the most valuable thing that you took from there? Just like the learning tree that you were under.
The most valuable thing, it's really tough to just pick a thing. But if I had to choose anything, I think I learned the most actually from wrestling on 205 Live, and it was learning from Tony Nese and Arya Davari, solely because those were two guys that, I mean, they got thrown right onto Monday Night Raw as indie wrestlers. So they did the Cruiserweight Classic, and then however many, 2-3 months later, they were wrestling live on Monday Night Raw, had to do live promos on Monday Night Raw, traveled, did the pay-per-views. Tony Nese won the Cruiserweight title at WrestleMania. And Nese and Davari wrestled pay-per-view matches against each other. So I feel like learning from them, learning the timing on how television works. And even though we didn't have commercial breaks on 205 Live, they kind of explained to me like, all right, this is where the commercial break would happen, or this is how you should treat this moment in the match, or here, if we do this really well, there will be a replay on this, so you need to stop and do this here. It's stuff like, obviously, I could learn a million things from Scotty 2 Hotty, and I did, but I feel like it's like almost even in sports, you're going to learn more from actively playing than you are just from your 2 a day in football or whatever the case may be.
That can almost hold true in any job, any physical job, or any job, like repetition in the actual field is where you learn what to do. Now, is that like, obviously that doesn't apply to every part of wrestling. That's TV wrestling. So in the ring, like, is there anything that, like, personality wise, like, that you learned, like your persona?
I don't think I really learned anything more about my persona, but I guess I did learn how to be more of like an ass kicker in the ring. I feel like when you guys saw Retro AG, it was very flamboyant, charismatic, flashy, and obviously still offer a lot of that same style, but I feel like I learned to be a bit grittier because that's what that NXT style was at that time. It was Adam Cole, Tommaso Ciampa, Johnny Gargano, Timothy Thatcher, Walter. It was all those guys, like a more grittier, meaner wrestling style. And I feel like if I wanted to get to the same spot they were at, I needed to kind of learn my own version of that without, losing myself.
Yeah, I was going to say, at the show at ACW on Saturday against Crowbar, I noticed that the crowd was probably leaning heavier towards Crowbar, and I think you realized that, and you took kind of just looked like on the fly an approach that was, all right, I'm not gonna get any over with this crowd that obviously is familiar with Crowbar from back in the day.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna try and beat the shit out of them. Pardon my French.
So I've had a similar experience with Crowbar before. We've wrestled 2 other times. This was our 3rd match. The first time we wrestled was actually both times were in New Jersey. The first one was in September 2019, and maybe it was just the circumstance, but the crowd respected Crowbar, but I feel like they cheered for me. And then in our recent one before Saturday was in June of 2023. Okay. And I came into that match thinking I was going to be the hero and he was going to be the villain. And I'm not a local to New Jersey, and he's been around a lot longer than I in general. And I think they respected him more, so they kind of ate me up. So I had it in the back of my head, like, all right, there's a chance. Like, I respect Crowbar a lot, obviously. I said it. I don't think they aired the promo, but there'll be a promo that airs where I basically said, like, let's go out there and steal the show. Like, I have a lot of respect for you. I know these fans do. Even before the match, I shook his hand. And then there was a moment where I heard a lingering Crowbar chant, and then it slowly turned into a louder one. I really hope you guys weren't a part of that.
No,
and
never.
I decided I needed to flip the switch myself and kind of switch it into high gear if I was gonna either one, get the crowd to get behind me, or two, just shut them up talking about him. So it was one or the other.
Yeah, the holy shit chance, holy shit chance kind of followed that, and the oohs and ahs of the match were kind of there. Like, I love that because it's something different that I've never seen out of you in that sense, like live. Like, I get the whole aspect, but like normally you would get flashier and you would try and get the crowd on your side with being flashy. You didn't care. I love that.
There's definitely a different feel from the first 3-4 minutes of that match to minute 9 or 10.
Yeah,
it was a completely different match.
It was. I mean, I think it would have been entertaining either way, but the kind of like, ooh, like the kind of like, I wasn't expecting this. That that was that little edge that I think like pushed it as like one of my favorite moments of the night.
It was after I got released by WWE, the first time I really felt like I had to do something like that. Like I didn't want Crowbar. End of the day, I didn't want the crowd to eat me up, and I didn't want Crowbar to eat me up. The first time I ever had a moment like that was September 2021. I got booked on an indie show in New Jersey, oddly enough, another New Jersey reference. And I was wrestling Too Cold Scorpio.
Oh shit!
And I heard rumors basically saying like, he's gonna hit you really hard, and if you don't hit him hard back, he's gonna just keep hitting you. So we got in there, and I gave him a punch to the stomach. I broke free, and I said, I'm not gonna let him hit me hard first. I'm gonna hit him hard first. Screw it. So I had nothing to lose at this point.
Yeah.
So I broke free, and I hit him probably with the hardest like forearm I hit anybody with in my entire life. And he kind of gave me like a nod.
He
said, and then he came back and hit me real hard.
That's an it's on nod. That's a okay. Like, here we go.
It's either I back down or I hit him harder. So I came back with a harder strike. And it was kind of toe for toe for a minute. And then I think we kind of earned each other's respect. And then we started like, more of a fair match. But the first one I hit him with and the first one he hit me with definitely rocked both of us.
See, now I enjoy hearing that because you feel like those times have died and gone away. Like, I think I always say this, but I think social media like has a big part in that when they have too many opinions that come in. But you feel like that time's dead and gone, and that's probably more than what anybody knows, like just watching the product. But I find that comforting in the fact that you can still get a little physical and that form of respect. Now, it didn't get to the point of where you guys were purposely trying to hurt each other and there was going to be like an actual real brawl. It was still in the professional aspect of wrestling, where it's kind of like it's the old school test of strength.
We're challenging each other.
Yeah,
it's almost like the human game of chicken.
Yeah, exactly.
Who's backing down first? And I actually do like that. I actually have a friend of mine. He says he respects the fact that he knows that if I ever get hit hard, I'm the first one to come back and hit. Because if you guys have talked to me, I'm kind of soft spoken.
Yeah.
I usually have a smile on my face, so you wouldn't think that I'd be the one to be combative and come back with something like that. But I mean, at this
you're from
point,
the Northeast, though. I mean, the Northeast.
My training under Spike Dudley, training under Brian Fury, getting beat up by 6'5" Donovan Dijak, listening to Tommaso Ciampa and guys like Ivar, these guys. I don't swear often, but screw it. These guys take no shit. They don't. And I've kind of learned that. I'm going on my 13th year of wrestling. I've been very lucky to see a lot of the world and wrestle for WWE. And I wrestle in Japan where they literally hit the hardest. And I don't like to use the term bitter, but I like to believe I'm a bit grizzled, and I'm just not going to take any BS at this point in my career, whether it's from a guy 2 years in or a guy 20 years in. Like, it really doesn't matter to me at this point. We're all in the same locker room. We're all putting on the same pair of boots. We're going to step in the same ring. So like, no one's above me at this point, and I'm not above anybody else. Like, we're equals once we step foot in that ring.
Yeah, you're there to do a job, and you're there to well, one, take care of each other. Two, the crowd. You're there to entertain. Now that crowds are all back and they're packing whatever venue that they're at, you guys are there, and having that, like, even if it's fake real or not fake, even if it's like pretend real animosity, that show, like, you're able to, that's something visual that you can see and that you can feel. And if you have people questioning, like, ooh, these guys,
I like a little bit of motivation. I like it. It can be a little uncomfortable. I think that's okay.
Yeah.
So
life's uncomfortable. I mean, it's relatable if anything else, and people will see that and be like, "Oh man, this looks like they're going at it."
Yeah.
And it's funny because I don't ever really tout as being like someone who like pays attention to a lot of things, but when I saw it was almost like the light bulb went off in your head, and you're like, "Ooh, this isn't this." I mean, it doesn't look like the way that you thought it was going to go, but you were like, "Oh, okay." And
I call it a gift. If something is open, I will take it.
Yeah, because they gave it, the crowd gave it to you, and you received it well, and it was nice seeing. I will call it the alternative to what it used to be. And I was going to ask you how the transition from retro to alternative, what was the thought process behind all of that? Like, what made you come up to, is it just something like you just want to be something different, better?
So obviously I was retro AG, retrosexual, whatever you want to call it.
Go ahead, Larry. What's your favorite?
My favorite is the Uncle Jesse of pro wrestling, without a doubt. That's it. I fucking love that. Still, I was just saying that to Joe on the way home from New York. I said, anytime I hear heaven is a place on earth, I think of your entrance in CZW, because I mean, the first time we heard it, like, we looked at each other, we're like, there's no way someone's actually coming out to that. And then you pop out with the girls behind you and the Zubas on. Like, it was
perfect.
One of my favorite wrestling in the independent entrances I've ever seen in my life. And it's fucking awesome. I'll always love that.
And I think in that era of CZW, like, where it was very like badass heavy, hardcore deathmatch heavy, I was that one different style act, and that's why I think it got so over with the crowd. Because if there was 10 versions of a flamboyant guy that came out with women, like, who cares? One in a million. But I'm the one person doing it. I thought that was cool.
The look, the music, everything played together. Then the announcer saying the Uncle Jesse of pro wrestling. It was like, oh man, like, that's the icing on the cake on that one.
Yep.
But to answer your question, so I was retro AG doing that thing. Got hired by the WWE. I did like a semi watered down version of it, because obviously they don't want to call me retrosexual. So I called myself the life of the party. I don't know if it ever really like caught on, but they would use it in a lot of the write-ups on WWE.com. And then after I got released, I had a real decision to make, whether it was, do I continue doing what I was doing on 205 Live? Do I stay with the life of the party, have this similar gear, which was very similar to the retro gear anyway? Do I take a step backwards and go back to retro AG, no pun intended, with the Zubas and the tearaways and the Macho Man style glasses, the whole nine? Or do I try to take a step forward and do something different? And at that point, I didn't have a backup plan. I didn't have an alternative. And then I realized that's because I always was the alternative. And that's where it all really came from. I've always been like the second choice, the last minute replacement. I've always been the alternative in every situation. And I've always just stepped up and ended up keeping a spot because of it. Because I have always been that backup plan. I've always been the alternative, which is kind of where the nickname came from. In a much simpler term, because that's very deep and like very into the history of Anthony Greene. If people normally ask me on the street, I'm like, it's because I like alternative rock music and I come out in jeans.
Yeah, I mean,
It's the easier explanation.
If I were to take a guess, that would have been my guess. That
Yeah.
it's just too simple. I mean, you're Mr. Reliable.
Yeah. I was using, right when I got released, I was using reliable to undeniable. I went from being the reliable guy to being the guy that everyone needs.
I love that.
Thank you.
Put that on a shirt.
Oh yeah, I don't know. I'd have to go back. I have so many t-shirts.
So you go from there. Obviously, you become the alternative, and now you go over to Japan, which I know you've seen stars that may have gotten released in that big cut. You have guys like Alex Zane was another one who ended up over there. Both you guys similar paths with the Indies to WWE, then over to Japan.
Yeah.
Obviously, was it just opportunity that brought you to Japan? Was it something that you always wanted to do?
So yeah, Japan. If I had one regret, and regret is like a real, like, I don't know if it's even the correct term to use. The one thing that I wish that I did before I went to WWE was I wanted to wrestle in Japan. I've wanted to wrestle in Japan my entire life. And other than FMW, which was like the easiest access to Japanese wrestling when it comes to just like going to an FYE or Strawberries or whatever your local store is, Sam Goody, to buy a wrestling DVD, FMW is the easiest option.
You're really dating yourself over there.
Yeah, you are.
I mean, so
we got it.
I was waiting for a Blockbuster reference.
I was not a Sam Goody guy myself. I figured you guys were.
Yeah. Oh, he's still calling us old now.
I was an FYE guy myself.
Okay, gotcha.
They were selling these DVDs called it was Pro Wrestling Iron. It was an indie company that started in like the very early 2000s. It was run by Michael Modest and Donovan Morgan. And I noticed there were some Japanese wrestlers on the cover, specifically Yoshinari Ogawa and Mitsuhara Misawa. So as I'm watching this DVD, they're talking about these two guys, and they refer to Ogawa as like the Bret Hart of Japan, and they talk about all of Mitsuhara Misawa's accolades, and they talk about Pro Wrestling Noah. So Pro Wrestling Noah was the first, I guess, like pure style or like strong style Japanese wrestling company I ever heard of. And me with the internet, I start looking up Pro Wrestling Noah, and then I think I went on High Spots and I found a Pro Wrestling Noah Great Voyage DVD from 2006. It's the one with, I want to say it's Great Voyage. The main event is Mitsuhara Misawa and Naomichi Marufuji for the title. It's one of the most famous matches. The match is on YouTube. For anyone that's never seen that match, go out of your way to watch it. It is incredible. And then I became a huge fan of Naomichi Marufuji. Come to find out, Naomichi Marufuji, Go Shiozaki, Takashi Morishima, all these guys that were in Pro Wrestling Noah started wrestling in America. They were doing FIP, they were wrestling for Ring of Honor, they were training with Harley Race. So I just keep this deep dive on Pro Wrestling Noah. Pro Wrestling Noah ends up becoming like the one Japanese company in this time that I'm paying attention to. So I have always been a fan of Pro Wrestling Noah. My two favorite Japanese wrestlers of all time are Naomichi Marufuji and Go Shiozaki. Again, my one regret, never going to Japan. Sorry, backtrack.
You're good.
No, you're good.
Now we're in present day of June 2021. I got released by the WWE. It's a phrase I'll say a few times because it's an important part of the story to how we get everywhere else. And I was hanging out with a guy named Ikemen Jiro. He's a Japanese wrestler who wrestled mostly freelance. He did Hustle. I think he did Smash. He wrestled for Wrestle One. I think that was his main company. He was trained by Keiji Muto. And then he did some stuff for All Japan and some stuff for DDT. Never wrestled for Pro Wrestling Noah. And we were talking, and he's like, what do you want to do next? And I said, I want to go to Japan. He said, for who? I said, Pro Wrestling Noah. Mind you, no idea he knew anybody that worked for the company. Right in front of me in that moment, it was probably 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard, so it was probably
Really early?
10:30 a.m. The next day for them. He called the president of NOAH in front of me and said, I have this guy, Anthony Greene. He works for WWE. He wants to come to NOAH. That night, I was already in the visa process, or at least the very beginning stages of the visa process, like sending my information out. And then because of COVID and then them not allowing new visas in for a while, and then they also had a list of guys that were going to come before me. It took just over a year for me to finally make it there.
Wow, that's insane.
Yeah.
In the grand scheme of things, I mean, a year is a long time, but it's also a short time at the same in the same breath.
So it was cool because it was in a way like the light at the end of the tunnel because it was a year away. And I actually never knew. I didn't know until maybe April 2022 that I was definitely going to go in July 2022. But I knew it was there and I knew it was going to happen. So it was just me really grinding and going hard on the season, trying to do what I could that entire time, knowing that at some point, whether it was 6 months down the line, a year down the line, like I knew I had this opportunity. So like, I think it really helped me. It kept me in good shape. It made me kind of like hustle and really want to travel and take bookings. Cause a lot of guys get released and they get like just completely down in the dumps and depressed and don't want to do anything. I was ready to rock and roll. Like, so I found out that night that I was going to go to Japan. That was a Friday night. By Tuesday the next week, I was getting new promo photos done. I was doing new promotional videos. I already had bookings booked out through the end of July, August, September. Like I was on a roll, just ready to go full speed. And then there was a point to this. Oh yeah, and then my first tour of Japan, it was only going to be 2 weeks. It was going to be 3 shows in 2 weeks, 16 days to be exact. And then after the first day of being there, they ended up adding us to a house show. Wrestled on that house show, wrestled Stallion Rogers on that house show, and within maybe 3 hours of being on the from after the show and being on the bus, we got contacted and asked if we would stay for 8 weeks instead.
Wow.
So 2-week tour turned into an 8-week tour. 3 shows turned into I think 16.
You went 2 weeks to 2 months.
Yeah, and then I ended up in the N1 Victory tournament, which is their big annual tournament. Yeah. And I got to wrestle Go Shiozaki in a singles match. I got to wrestle Masato Tanaka in a singles match as well during that tournament, which was pretty damn cool.
The bucket list right there.
For real, seriously. I mean, I don't think it could have been a better first tour. I got to wrestle in Korakuen Hall 5 times. I got to wrestle at Nippon Budokan. I teamed with Rene Dupree. That's pretty cool.
Wow.
And then, yeah, I got to wrestle one of my favorite Japanese wrestlers, and I got to wrestle a Japanese legend.
That's incredible. I mean, so that was 2022, right?
Yeah, summer 2022.
Summer 2022. Now we're in 2025. So we have 3 years. Now, how many tours has it been over to Japan?
So it's been 5 tours, but if you accumulate the time, I think I've been there closer to 2 years, or maybe about a year and a half, 2 years of physically being in the country, but five times to and from.
So you've been, I would say, better part of over half of the 3-year span you've been in Japan.
Oh yeah, 100%.
So what are some of the biggest differences over Japan than, I mean, because you've done almost everything that you could possibly do here. I mean, you said it, 13 years.
There, to be honest, I wrestled at the Tokyo Dome.
Oh yeah, that's right. Jesus. So what are some of the biggest differences of just being in Japan wrestling style, culture, the way things are run?
So wrestling is wrestling end of the day. So I feel like when it comes to like day to day, the business aspect, it's very similar. I feel like the biggest difference would be like the audience. It is a more respectful but also receptive audience. Like I think they really appreciate like great pro wrestling. A crowd can be dead quiet, and then all of a sudden they see like, and that's not because they're bored. That's because they're watching intently.
Yeah.
And then in a moment, it could be as simple as I have my opponent in some sort of submission. They get to the ropes. The crowd will applaud a rope break, just because it's a wrestler giving their all to break that hold, which I think is so cool. The fan meet and greets are pretty cool because of how excited they are to like conversate with you, especially as an American. Like the Japanese people want to interact with me, so they get so excited being able to use. If some of them don't speak English, the little English they know, they love to use it. Or those that are studying English and that know English really well, they love to conversate with us. And then I know it's choto, little. I know a little bit of Japanese. So they're always surprised when I'm able to like ask them how they're doing in Japanese, or, hey, are you okay? Are you doing well? And I think that's kind of the coolest thing, like seeing a fan's face light up, or even the line, and you see like the lines are always like little like snake lines, kind of like back and forth. You could see someone maybe like 3 rows down making eye contact with you. If you make eye contact with them and wave, like the giddiness and like happiness on their face, like genuine excitement. It's such a cool thing. Other than that, man, the food's incredible. You can go to the 7-Eleven there or the Family Mart there and safely eat sushi. And like, one, it's gonna be okay to eat. It's gonna be fresh. 2, it's gonna be very tasty. Like it's gonna be pretty damn good sushi for something that you get at a convenience store. And then their actual food is great. My favorite meal is yakiniku, also Korean barbecue. And 80 minutes. We go once a week usually. It's 80 minutes, all you can eat. They bring the raw meat over to you. You cook it on the grill. There's great side options, French fries. There's salad options, fried chicken options, and at the end, you go over to the ice cream bar. You get 2 scoops of ice cream and a little cheesecake, and you call it a night. Best 80 minutes.
It does. It sounds so good.
Best 80 minutes of your life. The place I like to go to is called Premium Karubi. We call it PK for short, and it's the best, the absolute best. It's like a 15-minute walk, maybe even less, from my apartment. It's a longer walk. It's a longer walk back because we're so full. But
you got to burn those calories. You got to power walk that one back.
Oh, dude, endless walking.
I mean, that's why you stay in such good shape over there. It's just pure
Literally.
cardio.
It helps that I do so much walking. Obviously, I don't drive there, so my 2 ways of commuting on my own are walking and train. And then when we go to the events, we have Pro Wrestling Noah's tour bus. But I walk everywhere. There's a mall near where I live. Two train stations within 10-15 minute walk. The dojo that we train at is less than 5 minutes away from us. It's really it's an ideal situation for where we stay at the dojo.
So is it a potential that you can possibly call that home one day?
So oddly enough, Noah, their catchphrase is Noah the home. So maybe one day I will be going back at some time very soon. I can't officially announce.
Yeah. We don't break news on this show.
Yeah, we'll keep it for the Twitterverse or the Xverse. I'll Z it on X. But I will be going back to Japan at some point very soon within the next few months, and back for Pro Wrestling Noah. I'm gonna do another short tour with them. It'll be tour number 6. It'll be my shortest stay yet, which is both awesome because I'll be able to come back to America soon, but also sad because I really do love the Japanese culture a lot. But I'm excited nonetheless.
So the wrestlers over there, like your coworkers, we'll call them, Now, is it a different feel like when you're home? Is it less competitive over there? Like, is there like not like competitive, like competitiveness, but like cutthroat, I guess I'll call it. Like, does everyone seem to be like there for the same cause, purpose, less politics?
I would say there's definitely less politics. It's definitely more based on like how you perform, how good you are in the ring. And I think everyone kind of has their spot in Noah. A lot of the guys, without naming names, obviously, but there are guys that are just like legends on the roster that Pro Wrestling Noah can be around for another 10 years and they're still going to be there. They will be with the company through and through till the day the company dies. And then there are other guys that are younger in Japanese wrestling, like the young boys, I guess, that are really trying to fight for their spot. And then there's obviously the foreigners, and we all get along. We're all like our own family, and we obviously hang out with a lot of the Japanese wrestlers as well. But it's like our own little community because we are all doing the exact same thing. We're all away from our friends and our family. Like I've missed the last 2 Thanksgivings. I've spent 2 birthdays in Japan, and if it wasn't for having so many foreigners with me that all understand what we're all going through, I don't know if I could do it by myself. If I was the one foreigner on a long tour of Japan, I don't know if I'd be able to cut it. But the fact that we have such a good support group makes it a lot easier for us all. Shout out Jack Morris, who's a jerk now, and he's the current GHC tag team champion with WWE superstar Omos. How wild!
I saw that.
Yeah, I saw the clips of that.
He traded me in for Omos. I mean, not a bad decision, I guess.
I mean,
and then shout out LJ Cleary as well.
I mean, their combined weight just went up substantially. He's about three or four of you.
Their combined shoe size is a lot bigger now.
Yeah. Well, we got that going for them.
So, AG, as we were saying, we touched on a little bit with Crowbar, this past Saturday, ACW Poughkeepsie Rumble. Our buddies Vic and Hale, we're so proud to see that event. That event was amazing. It was so well done. The card was ridiculous from top to bottom.
The venue was surprisingly
good. So for us, being from Philly, we've never really been to the Mid-Hudson Civic Center, now the MJN Center. Was that the first time that you performed up at the MJN Center?
So, all right, this is good. This is like actually a loaded question. Technically, it is the first time I performed and wrestled in front of a crowd at the MJN Center. Okay. But it is not the first time that I've wrestled in the MJN Center. In August 2014, Tommy Dreamer's House of Hardcore did like a double tryout. So there was 2 rings. The big ring was basically in the exact same spot where the show ring was. Okay. And then maybe 30 feet to the left, if you were looking at it from towards the stage, there was a smaller ring. And they did 2 different tryouts. They did a tryout for guys that want to become pro wrestlers, and whoever they thought did the best would get free tuition for the House of Hardcore school, which was just opening up inside the Mid-Hudson Civic Center. They were actually running trainings on that stage. Mm-hmm. And then the secondary tryout was for guys that were already trained pro wrestlers, and they were going to pick one wrestler to wrestle on an upcoming House of Hardcore show. So I paid $100, drove up with my buddies Cam Zagami, Mikey Webb, and Donovan Dijak. There was a ton of other people trying out that day as well. And who would have thought Anthony Greene got picked to wrestle House of Hardcore at the Philadelphia 2300 Arena? Mm-hmm. It was their first House of Hardcore show there. It was, I think, House of Hardcore 7.
Okay.
I'm not sure if you guys were there. This was
2015, was it? Or 14?
14, November 2014.
That was a little before we started discovering House of Hardcore. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. Yeah. So
unfortunately, I think it was the next year.
Yeah.
It was the first one there at the ECW Arena. I teamed with Vic Delicious, and their first House of Hardcore graduate. His name is Ben Ortiz, Action Ortiz.
Oh.
And we wrestled Bill Carr,
Yeah.
Dan Barry,
Yeah.
and ECW original, also ACW wrestler Nunzio. So it was pretty cool. Like, so I wrestled. It was my first time wrestling in the ECW arena. I got to wrestle in the ECW arena for an ECW guy as the promoter against an ECW original. Like, it was just a perfect scenario. But anyway, back to the story. So this was the first time I ever wrestled in the MJN Center in front of an audience. I've seen 2 Northeast wrestling shows there.
Okay.
Those must have been like maybe 2010, 11-ish, like those years. The first one I went to, the main event was Booker T versus Mr. Kennedy. And Tommy Dreamer wrestled Jerry Lawler in a hardcore. And then the next one I went to, the main event was Matt Hardy versus MVP, and Dreamer and Jerry Lawler had a rematch, but this time it was in a steel cage.
Wow.
Fanboy big time at both of those shows.
That was right before you started wrestling, right?
Yeah, 2012 is when I had my first match, but I actually was refereeing since 2009. So I've always been a fan. I'm still a fan. I took a bunch of photos with wrestlers on Saturday, guys that I was always afraid to ask a photo with. Like, I've been in so many locker rooms with Danny Doring, and I have so much respect for Danny Doring. Danny Doring rules. So I have a really cool photo of me, him, and Crowbar together. I thought it was so cool that ECW has done pay-per-views and house shows in the Poughkeepsie Mid-Hudson Civic Center. My referee for my match against Crowbar was Jim Molyneux, ECW original referee. And then obviously Crowbar wrestled as Devin Storm in early ECW. So I got to wrestle another ECW original with an ECW referee in a building where ECW used to run.
It was a little bit hardcore too. So
and we got a little extreme.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I was having a field day there. I got a picture with Tony DeVito. I got a picture with Dolph Ziggler, Nick Nemeth. Just like, I mean, I watched him. I mean, even watching his run as Dolph Ziggler, I remember watching him as, the Spirit Squad, Nikki.
Yeah.
It's just, I've always, like, even when I first started, like, in wrestling, I was never afraid to ask for a photo, even if it was considered, like, markish or, like, you shouldn't do it or whatever. I've always worn wrestling shirts to shows. I've always asked for pictures because these are my memories. Like, I got into this because I'm a huge wrestling fan. My room is plastered with autographed action figures, autographed photos, pictures with my friends, like memorabilia of my own. I love wrestling. I mean, I love your little setup right here. You got your Now poster. You got the Winged Eagle title. I'm pretty sure, is that the wrestling album?
Yes.
That
is a gift from Joe.
Yeah.
He was clearing out his parents' house, his childhood home, found it and was like, look, this has to go in the room.
Yeah.
So I have it behind the Winged Eagle. Yeah.
Is that a Captain Lou autograph I see too?
Yeah.
Next to Shawn Michaels?
Captain Lou, I got King Kong Bundy behind me.
He's got Al Snow's head up there.
Yeah, Al Snow's head signed by Al. And of course, Head. He signed Head and Al Snow.
I'm the same way, man. Like, I'm a fan through and through. Like, even I don't know if I've ever actually shared this, like, it's public knowledge, but whatever. Here it is. Here's an exclusive.
Yeah, we do have exclusive for the show. How about that?
When I won the when I won Pro Wrestling Noah's GHC heavyweight tag title, within a week I ordered like a custom replica just to have for myself. Like, I have that in my room at all times. Like, that's my memory. A lot of do similar stuff. Like Ivar, he has like his NXT title, he has his Ring of Honor title, he has his Raw tag title, he has his IWGP tag title. And when I saw his wrestling room, I thought that was such a cool thing. So I think that's when I bought, like, I have like the CZW World title replica, and I have now the GHC heavyweight tag team title as well. And hopefully I continue to add that collection with bigger, notable championship titles. I mean, if I ever win the GHC tag title again, I mean, I probably just have to buy another one, right, guys?
Yeah,
I mean,
you have to.
That sounds like
Then
logic.
I have the set.
Yeah, exactly.
It kind of keeps you grounded too. Like, being a fan, like it like your head doesn't get too big. Like, like you know where you came from. Like this is who you were. Like it keeps you pretty headstrong, and you're to the point of where it also keeps you kind of clear headed. Like your goals. Like now
100%.
you see what's in your room. Be like, I'm feeling a little light today. Now I got to go. I got to go win something else.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, final go at it. Like the goals coming up. Like where do you see yourself, or where are you trying to get to? Are you trying to get back to WWE? You trying to stay in the States over? Like you trying to get signed again?
Yeah, I mean, end goal is definitely to sign another major wrestling contract, whether that be in the United States or in Japan. I guess those are really probably the only two options. I guess Mexico is an option as well. But for me, I think it's America or Japan are the two big ones. I just want to like enjoy what I'm doing. I want to love the work that I'm putting out. I want to make money.
Yeah.
I think everyone likes money, so that'd be a part of having fun. I think money and fun do come hand in hand.
Yes,
People say
absolutely.
money doesn't buy happiness. I slightly disagree.
Yeah.
I don't think it's complete happiness, but I think it helps.
Absolutely helps.
Depends on what you're buying.
Yeah.
Plus, so I actually recently filmed a video, and I said, like, 2025, I'm going on 13 years of wrestling, and I've done a lot, I think, for my local wrestling scene here in New England. But I think it's time for me to be a little selfish. And that started this Sunday. I'm actually wrestling a guy I've looked up to my entire career. His name is John Walters, Hurricane John Walters. He also wrestled under the name RJ Brewer on Lucha Libre USA. He's kind of like he's like the first guy in New England to really break out on that super indie wrestling scene. He was the guy that broke out into Ring of Honor. He's a former Ring of Honor Pure Champion. And he kind of walked so guys like Eddie Edwards, Tommaso Ciampa, Warbeard Hansen, Matt Taven, Dijak, myself, so all of us could end up running. And he's 45 years old, 25 years in, looks better than everyone in the independent scene, like absolutely jacked, shredded, looks better than me by a lot. And I'm pumped to wrestle him. I think it's the most excited I've been for a singles match in a very long time. I mean, I was excited for Crowbar, but this one just hits a little differently because it's a guy that I've watched live in person, in armories. I watched him wrestle CM Punk for Ring of Honor. I watched him win the Pure title, watched him wrestle on more smaller local shows, watched him wrestle Tommaso Ciampa when I was first breaking in myself. I did hard cam for that match. It's kind of all just coming full circle. We have a generation gap in between us, and we're referring to this match as the Generation Grap. Which
That's pretty damn good.
I like it. It's a good play on words.
Oh yeah.
So AG, man, we really appreciate you taking the time talking with us again. It was great. So first of all, seeing you again on Saturday in person.
Yes, in person.
And then, of course, now being able to sit down and talk a little wrestling with you, catching up with everything. Best of luck going forward. We hope, obviously, everything goes great with Japan, but we do hope to see you back in the States. And hey,
selfishly, we want you.
Yeah, and maybe, who knows, May 17th at the MJN Center, the next ACW show, maybe see you there. So we'll see what the future holds there as well.
Yeah, make your way back down into this part of the Northeast. I know you got a lot of ties up there, but you can come down south a little bit.
Yeah.
I love the New Jersey, Philly area. I mean,
we love you.
any wrestling company, any promotion, you want me to come on down, let me know. I think the last time I wrestled in like the Philly area, I wouldn't even consider it that. It was Hamburg, PA.
Oh yeah, that's.
I wrestled at the Hamburg Fieldhouse.
Okay.
Where they used to film WWF All Star Wrestling.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I know.
Yep.
But I haven't been in the Philly area. The closest thing to Philly, geez, must have been when
Jersey.
I wrestled Too Cold Scorpio in 2021, and that was at the H2O building, like right in South. That was probably one of the most recent times I've been in there. I've wrestled in like Tom's River, a handful of times, but I know that's a little more out. But
Yeah, a little
I
further.
mean, we'll trek the Tom's River for you.
Yeah,
Not that far.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, we're not afraid to travel, as you see. I mean, going to Poughkeepsie, we did figure out was the furthest that we've traveled for a wrestling show. But I mean, it wasn't too bad, especially because we got to stay over.
If it's got good food, I'm in.
Yeah, absolutely. And the pizza up there was, as advertised, absolutely phenomenal.
All right. So I'm a huge pizza guy. I love pizza.
You're
And
in the right spot.
all I heard from I was hearing Tony DeVito talk about pizza over and over again. I'm like, is Poughkeepsie known for its pizza? Because I assumed like the only thing to do in Poughkeepsie was you go to the corner store to see if the light up Coca-Cola light's still flickering. There was nothing to do in that town.
I mean, you are not wrong,
Yeah.
but we had the inside scoop from Hale actually, and he told us the spot to go to. It was
Emiliano's.
It was right down the street from the venue.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I have to get on the show on May 17th.
This pizza was
really
it was like life changing. Best slice of pizza I've ever had.
What kind of pizza is it? Is it like
It's
a New York
red-
style?
yes.
It's a New York style,
New York.
thin. It's got a little crisp to it, no flop. But I got was a penne vodka chicken pizza. And
Okay.
It was like the chicken cutlet on it was phenomenal. Like everything was perfect.
So I'm very picky. So I like to like expand my
Me
pizza.
too.
We're getting a bonus. We're getting a little bonus.
Yeah, this is bonus
We're
content.
never afraid to talk about food on our show.
I can talk more food than wrestling sometimes.
The first time I go to any pizza joint, I'm gonna go half cheese, half pepperoni.
Yeah, that's what Larry.
That's what I did. I did one of each.
And if they're half cheese, half pepperoni is good, then I'll go to Buffalo Chicken. I'll get a cheeseburger slice or whatever the case may be. But I base everything on cheese and pepperoni. So if they have a good pie, I might have to give it a shot. Have you guys ever been to Connecticut?
We have
No, but I used to
New
have family
Haven.
up there. So that's
New
what we
Haven.
hear.
New Haven, Connecticut. There's one street, Worcester Street, and Sally's is number 1. Frank Pepe's number 2, and then there's Modern Pizza. That's number 3. But you have to go to Sally's.
So that's what Portney always touts. New Haven, Connecticut.
Yeah.
It's a 9.2, baby.
Yeah.
9.2.
Yeah, so we got Angelo's down here that hit the 9.1.
Yeah.
Angelo's in South Philly hit 9.1, but they also have the best cheesesteak in Philly as well. So
the 2-for-1 special.
Yes.
So you have to pre-order the cheesesteak and hope to get there in time before they sell out of rolls.
Oh, damn. Yeah,
That
no,
are
so yeah.
handmade.
Portnoy calls New Haven the pizza capital of the world.
He does, and it's so intriguing because I love pizza. I could eat pizza every day. It's that easy and it's that good. It's perfect. Pizza's perfect.
It is.
Anybody that doesn't like pizza, I question if they're really a human being.
And let's be honest. So I'm a pizza snob, but even a bad slice of pizza is all right.
Yeah, like even if
the worst slice is better than some other foods.
Yes. You could put a whole like category of food that it's better than, like a bad slice of pizza. Like you could do an Elio's. You could put an Elio's in the oven and take it out, and it's still going to be better than a lot of other foods.
Than a chicken salad.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
But, all right. So if I have one gripe with Japan is the lack of pizza. Like they have pizza, and I have found 2 really good places and then a third place that's like decent,
serviceable.
Yeah, there's a place called it's called Pizza Slice actually, and it's a New York style pizza. Absolutely incredible. There's a place called Spontini's Pizza. It's like a real gimmicky. It's like a thick slice. It's not deep dish and it's not Detroit.
Is it like Sicilian? Sounds like a Sicilian slice. It's about that. That's about that thick.
It's square.
It's not square. It's triangular.
Oh, so it's like Sbarro.
Yeah.
And you get like and it's massive. You only need one slice.
I challenge
So
that.
big. You get the double cheese. If you get it with the sausage, they just put a literal sausage on it. It's really good. And then the other place is called Caesarea, which is like very cheap Italian food. Like imagine like Olive Garden, but even cheaper.
Wow. Okay.
Talk about fine Italian dining right there.
we call it cheap and cheerful eating. It's cheap. We have fun in and out, and their pizza is half decent. I like to get the it's like a buffalo cheese.
Okay.
And it's
interesting.
Very, very, very good.
Just buffalo cheese. Not chicken.
I don't know. But there's no buffalo sauce. It's buffalo cheese.
Yeah, that's what's interesting.
So it's like the taste in the cheese.
It's like a mild cheese, mild spicy cheese.
Something like that. It's very tasty. Those are my top 3, probably in order. I filmed actually. Plug my YouTube channel real quick.
Absolutely.
Plug away.
I have a vlog. I just recently uploaded one here from America, but it's usually my life in Japan. If you go back a few months, I did one called the Epic Cheat Meal, and I go to both Spontini's and I go to Pizza Slice, and then one of my most recent videos, the 10,000 calorie challenge. Myself and my friend Myla Grace, we go to Pizza Slice and we eat two slices each. Big slices too. Really good New York style slice. When someone pitched it to me, I was skeptical. I was like, what do you know about a New York slice of pizza? But it was good. Very, very good. Very good pizza.
All right. So next time we cross paths, we're gonna have a pizza date.
Yeah.
Brotherly Love, AG, pizza.
Yeah.
Bro, May 17th. Hopefully, I'll see you guys there. I will start driving at 8 a.m. and I'll meet you guys there.
Hell yeah,
absolutely. We'll do one for the vlog.
Yeah,
we can do a simulcast. Well, I'll film for the vlog while you guys film a live episode.
Absolutely,
pre-taped episode, whatever you want.
Yeah. We can definitely make that
going.
Yeah.
Sights, fights, and fights, baby.
Yeah. Yes. You got the name. I like that a lot. Well, AG, it was great talking wrestling. Even more fun talking about pizza. I'll tell you that.
I love food.
So thank you once again. We hope to see you very soon on our television, obviously. But until then, best of luck with everything else. And we'll be talking to you very soon. Thank you, everyone, for watching, listening. We hope you enjoyed the show. And we'll be talking to you very soon. Don't take any shit from anybody. See you guys.